Hello, everybody, and welcome to Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the Giants. I am John Schmeelk, here with Howard Cross in the Hackensack Meridian Health Podcast Studio. Keep getting better. Howard, we set the schedule up all the way back in September, so I wish I could say I timed this on purpose to have you on today. But if for the Giant fans that have been unconscious maybe for the past 24 hours or so, because this broke around 12:40 yesterday while we were on the air. The Giants have a new head coach. And Mike Kafka has been named their interim head coach to decide to part ways with Brian Daboll yesterday. Howard, Paul and I react to this on the air yesterday. I've kind of had a chance to gather my thoughts since then.
Okay, I want to hear your thoughts. You want
to hear my thoughts first?
Absolutely.
Look, I just think this came down to, over the past 3 years, since the halfway mark even of 2022, but you can even throw that out if you want.
Okay.
Since the start of the 2023 season, there just haven't been enough wins. They've lost a lot of football games. And I think the way they lost a number of games this year, specifically the Dallas game, the Denver game, and then this game this past week against the Chicago Bears, that they felt there was just too much losing and there needed to be a major change in order to try to
shake it up,
cure whatever those ills were that kind of kept getting in the way of the Giants finishing games. Tiki Barber talks about this a lot when I did the post-game show with him, and he says, this team has not learned to win yet. They don't know how to win. And Brian Daboll's been here for a while now. Again, I think Brian Daboll's a good coach. So I've said that here. He's not here. I'm still going to say I think Brian Daboll's a good coach. But they have not, since that 2022 season, this group has not figured out a way to win close games, close out games, and consistently play overall good enough football to sustain victories.
Well, I think that his first year kind of spoiled him. I think that he got into a lot of one-score games and won, right?
Yeah.
And those games came down to a bounce here, a bounce there, a tip ball or whatever it was. The ball just bounced his way the first year. And then the next year, it was a bunch of one-score games, and the ball just didn't bounce the same direction. And that's kind of what started the downfall from that moment on. And then you start trying to figure out, but through the draft and free agents, who can help us get better, who can get us better, and some of the players just haven't panned out, and some of the guys have been injured, and I think the injury bug has plagued the team the entire time of his tenure, his 4 years, and he's just dealing with it as it comes along. I mean, if Malik was still healthy, if Scadaboo was still healthy, maybe they would be able to win more games. But then you could look at San Francisco and say, well, their whole team's out.
Right. No, you're right.
So you can't go that route. So yeah, I mean, at some point you got to make a decision. I was a little shocked they made a decision back in the middle of the year, but at the same time,
only the fourth time in Giants history that's happened. And I'm sure they didn't want to make the decision in the middle of the year either.
I think they wanted to win. I think the surprising thing is that you kind of have hope with the team. You got so many games with the lead in the last few minutes of the game and double-digit leads, and you're like, this is going to be the game. They can do it, and it just never kind of pans out.
And Howard, that's why this is so frustrating, right? Because the 2 seasons before this, there were a number of games, more than you want, that were just plain outright non-competitive.
Yep.
Like, you got into the game and you're like, they have no chance to win. And they didn't have any chance to win. The game was over by halftime, and fans were leaving their seats at halftime. They weren't coming back. We saw that a lot in 2023 and 2024. Now, some of that had to do with the fact the starting quarterback gets hurt, you're rolling backup quarterbacks out there, undrafted quarterbacks, whatever. That's part of that. But this year, that has not been the case.
Nope.
They've only been, I would say,
one game.
Non-competitive? I'm not even...
Not non-competitive.
I don't think they've been non-competitive any games. But the 2 games where they were down by 3 scores in the second half were San Francisco and Philadelphia.
Yes.
They were down 3 scores in the fourth quarter, both those games. Those are I'll call them convincing losses, okay? Every other game, and I'll even include the Commanders game in week 1, because if the offensive line was playing like it was 2 weeks later in week 1, I think they were going to be in that Commanders game. Because the offensive line just fell apart in that game. They were not ready to go. No. Which, again, you could blame it on the coaching if you want. You can, whatever. But they've been in all these games. The team is clearly better. You see some of the guys, unfortunately some of them are hurt now, that you think can be the cornerstone of this offense moving forward with Neighbors and Scadaboo and Dart. But they just, again, going back to what Tiki has said to me, they have not figured out how to win football games.
How to make that one play in the game that closes it, and it's been so close every time. And you look at this game, if Dart gets the first down and then slides, he doesn't get dinged up. You know, he's a great kid, and if he just slides right there, no concussion.
And in fact, Howard, I would even say if he doesn't fumble the ball, no concussion. Because the reason he gets a concussion, the ball pops up, he's kind of reaching for it, and then he falls down and he whacks his head. Assuming that's the play it happened.
That would be great to say, but the guy hitting you on your elbow right there, coming from your blind side, you probably go fumble it.
Oh, no, 100%. Correct. And then, by the way, Wando Robinson should have been blocking that guy. For some reason, he ran a route on that play instead of blocking on the run play. So maybe if he's blocking that cornerback, that doesn't necessarily happen.
But either way, get down as soon as you get the first down yardage. And I know that he just ran along one end, so it was kind of, he had the juices flowing. He was feeling good, but you got to get down to protect yourself in some of those cases. And he's going to learn that. He's going to look back at that and see, darn it, I could have got down and saved myself.
Now, unfortunately, it was a 2nd and 6, and he did gain 7 yards. So he was trying to get the first down. He was crossed. If he slides a little bit earlier, he might be a little bit short. But on a 2nd down, you live with that. And I think that's something.
2nd and 6 and slide early? Okay.
Now, look.
You get 3rd and 1.
You hope it doesn't come to this, but maybe this is what he needs to say, all right, you know what? Maybe it's time for me to start sliding a little bit more.
Yeah, well, he'll figure it out. He did slide a few times a game.
He actually slid on his first run.
That's right. He slid a few times a game. Okay, but so I think that's kind of that. Those are kind of breaks that kind of and then you got to come in. You could tell it let a little air out of the game when that happened, and you got to give Caleb Williams like his flowers, man. That kid was playing out of his mind. Guys had him dead to rights.
His sack avoidance was tremendous.
Dude, they had him they were wrapping him up, and he was just spinning, and they were falling off of him I don't know.
Kept trying to tackle him high, Howard. That drove me nuts a little bit.
I mean, all jokes aside, where are you going to hit him?
Waist? Not the shoulder pads. Hit him with the waist.
But you're looking at him. You're trying to size him up.
No, I know. And you might be trying to go for the ball, too, if he's holding it up.
Yeah,
right? I get that.
It was everything.
But look, eventually, if you're an elite pass rusher, not every time. One of those guys at some point has to get him down in that 3rd or 4th quarter, bro.
That was amazing to me. Like I said, and then the plays that you do stop them, and they stopped them a few times. There's that illegal contact downfield, 5 yards, first down. That seemed to be over and over again.
The one on Banks I didn't love. I thought the one on Phillips when he knocked over Adunze, that was the right call, I thought. But I thought the two on Banks, the one where he kind of held the jersey on the pass interference, I understood that one. I thought the illegal contact on Banks was not necessarily the best. But anyway, look, that's how I feel about it too. Now, Mike Kafka takes over. I don't think we've had any official announcement on this. I think people believe he's going to call plays as well as be the head coach. He's been the play caller. I don't think you want to change that necessarily. We'll see. He'll probably talk to the media. Giants haven't announced this, but I assume he's going to have the normal head coach press conference Wednesday at 12:30 like we've been doing.
Yeah.
In which case, we'll find this out. How do you think he should handle that? Let me start with that. Should Mike Kafka still call the plays even though he's taking on this huge responsibility as head coach since he's been the guy that's been in Jaxson Dart's headset the whole year?
Well, here's the thing. I think that Kafka, was like candidate to be head coach of a few teams.
He's got multiple interviews.
Yeah, so it's not like hasn't been preparing for this whole time and understanding like what he was going to do. He probably was going to, if he got a head coaching job, unless he found the ideal offense coordinator, he was probably going to want them to run his offensive system anyway, right? So he'd probably be calling the plays or thinking about calling the plays the entire time. He probably looked at it from both standpoints. Can I call the plays and get what I want in, and can I, quote unquote, just relinquish those calls to someone and stand back and try to coach the team? I think he probably calls the plays.
I agree with you.
And I think he's going to call the plays because that's where he feels like he's probably got the most advantage at this point.
That's how he can help the team the most, right? Mm-hmm.
And he's and he's still going to work with the defense and special teams and everything else. But I think he calls the plays and stays engaged with Dart the entire time.
Okay, I agree with you on that.
And that's speculation. That's me speculating.
And both of us, like I said, that has not been made official yet. I know there's been some rumblings online of how that's going to work, but that's just kind of my thought on that too. I agree. I think that is hard, though. I think that's a big challenge for him. As someone that's taking on this huge responsibility to also be the guy that's calling the plays. We saw this happen with the Bears last year when Matt Eberflus, who's now the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys, got fired from the Bears. Mm-hmm. They elevated Thomas Brown, who was their offensive coordinator and play caller. Mm-hmm. And then he kind of took over that. And some of the offensive stuff that was going well before he got elevated fell apart a little bit after he became head coach because it was just a little bit too much on his plate to have to do both things. So we'll see. Just because it happened with one guy doesn't mean it's going to happen with another guy. So we'll see how it rolls out. I think Kafka can handle it.
And you look at Dan Campbell, who just took over the play calling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he says, and the way Dan explains it was, when he took over the play calling, it's a group effort. It's not just him calling the plays. He's asking guys, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? It's third and short. What are some of our best options? He says, I'm not just calling the plays because I'm trying to call as many as possible, but at the same time, I'm trying to get as much input from the group as we possibly can. So that's going to be interesting to see if that's going to be part of it as well.
All right, now let's look ahead a little bit here, Howard. Paul and I kind of talked about this a little bit yesterday, and we kind of talked through our feelings on it a little bit. There has to be a coaching staff after the year. Right, you can't just say Mike Kafka, we're going to keep him, he's our next head coach, because you have to comply with the Rooney Rule and all that stuff. So there has to be a search after the year. When the Giants prioritize the aspects of the next head coach that are most important, what are the things that strike you as the type of characteristics or past experience or anything like that you think the Giants should be focused on when they're considering who their next head coach should be?
They're going to have to find someone, if there's someone out there, because you got to realize it, and I think fans realize this probably more than anybody else. If every year there's 6 coaches that turn over or 5 coaches that turn over, and it's been happening for the last almost 10 years.
How it works.
The pool gets really shallow when you start looking at guys, right?
Yeah. All these like wonderkin coordinators, there's not 3 or 4 new of those guys every year.
And
it's hard.
It's starting to, like I said, the pool's starting to thin out. Some of the coaches are, have been long in the tooth and they're kind of disappearing, and a lot of young guys have shown up, and you just got to figure it out from there. But if I'm looking for a guy, that's top down, detail oriented. And it's not that that Dayball wasn't, but top down, detail oriented, not as you would think, not all the way old school, but a little more old school, almost.
What do you mean by that?
Almost Belichickian, and Parcells, kind of like, hey, we're going to do this. It's not the friendliest, it's not the most, appealing way to do it, but it's kind of going back to like almost, hey, this is how I want it done. Do your job kind of conversation, not so friendly, Coach Coughlin like, in the approach to doing it. And I know that young guys don't like that. And I know the young guys in this generation don't like that.
But it might be what makes them the best football player.
That's right. You have to be able to distinguish, this is my job. This guy understands how to do my job. I'm listening. And you have to be able to and be willing to understand every detail of what's going on when you're doing something. It can't be, as a coach, it's hard to be leaders of men when the men are making so much money. But if they want to, quote unquote, win as well as make money, then they have to listen. And that's got to be something they understand from, like, again, top down, from the way you work out, the way you train, the way you eat, the way you approach your practice, the way you study, what you're studying, how detailed you are about every part of it. I mean, that's what it's got to be. It's got to be somebody who instills that in them, and that's something, like I said, not a lot of guys are attracted to. But if you want to win, that's how it works.
All right.
Andy Reids of the world, that's how they do it.
Couple direct questions before we get to the calls here.
Mm-hmm.
How important is it to you that the coach the Giants hire has not just prior head coaching experience, but prior success as an NFL head coach?
How are you going to get a coach that has prior success? If he has prior success, he's probably still going to be coaching for another team.
Well, there are some that aren't. Do you want me to give me a couple names?
Give me a couple names.
Right, hold on. I made a list. And Bob Papa talked about this on a serious show, too. So I'll throw one name at you of a guy that has a lot of long-term success as an NFL head coach that is not coaching right now, Mike McCarthy.
Mike McCarthy. Interesting.
That's one name.
Okay.
One name that fans have been a little excited about is John Gruden.
John Gruden. Interesting. Okay.
That's another one. Bill Belichick is another one. Obviously, you mentioned his name. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'll throw the name out there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, these are guys that are currently coordinators, but they do have past coaching experience.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not success, but past coaching experience.
Okay.
Vance Joseph, the defensive coordinator for the Broncos, is a guy I'll throw out there.
Okay.
Brian Flores is someone the Giants interviewed in the last cycle, though that whole lawsuit thing is going on still, so I don't know if that's a viable deal. Antonio Pierce, who was the head coach for the Raiders and has obviously
Giants,
a lot of connections to the Giants. And Steve Spagnuolo, who obviously was the head coach for the Rams, where he had no success, but certainly has had a lot of success as a defensive coordinator, was an interim head coach here, and obviously a defensive coordinator on 2 different occasions. So those are all that, you can see my list. Those are the guys on my former head coach list of guys that at least I've thought about that maybe people might be interested in.
I think that they all have a very interesting thought about it. I think that some of them had some success. Gruden and McCarthy definitely had some success.
Yep.
And I think that we're all waiting to see, and you got to wonder, like, are they willing to come in and take on a job? And I know McCarthy probably would take one right away. Gruden, I'm not sure about. I'm not sure Gruden. People say he wants to get back into coaching. But there have been vacancies out there. I don't hear him interviewing that much.
And, of course, he had a big lawsuit thing with the National Football League, too. So I see. It's funny. I could see him being a college coach.
I don't think he likes kids that much. I'm not being funny.
You think he would be impatient with the youngsters?
I think that you always saw how he was with his rookies and stuff. I don't think he doesn't have a lot of patience for it. That's why I'm surprised Belichick's in college right now. The other guys, I mean, and again, I'm not picking anybody specifically. I'm just saying in general, like Spags is a great coach, but I think he's a great coordinator. I don't know if he's a great head coach.
That's fair.
And he didn't prove that anywhere. I know the lawsuit with Flores is going on. Probably the best guy for the job is Flores, but how are you going to get around that lawsuit?
Like I said, that was one of the guys that was in the discussion last time they had a coaching search.
Yeah,
so that's the only reason why I brought him up.
Yeah, but I'm like, probably the best guy, but you can't.
No, I understand.
Can you work it out?
I understand.
Hey, bro, let me talk to you for a second.
And again, some of these guys are also under contract with other teams, so obviously these conversations can't take place till after the season. But the teams that their coordinators can't block them from interviewing for head coach.
And it's going to be interesting also about like, are they going to be looking at college coaches? Like, is there a college coach out there that would be the guy? And I'm like, I don't know.
Well, do you want me to give you the 4 names I have for college coaches?
Oh, Lord. You got college coaches, too?
I have 5 columns.
All right.
Former head coach, college, OCs, and DCs.
Give me a college coach.
Well, the guy that's being chased apparently by 2 other SEC schools as well, Lane Kiffin, who was the head coach for Jaxson Dart at Ole Miss last year.
Never even thought about that. Okay, go ahead.
And apparently LSU and Florida are also hot and heavy.
Oh, I bet they are. Especially LSU.
And it's funny, you think about it, but then that gets expensive very quickly because those college programs will throw. I mean, just look what this. We got money in this. This like Brian Kelly buyout situation right now with LSU, which is a little bit messy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, the governor getting ready.
And that was again just because of the Giants' connections to Notre Dame. I had Brian Kelly's name on the list, though. Given he just failed at LSU, I'm not sure that would be where I would go.
I would not do Brian Kelly.
I would not either. Again, I'm just names that are available.
No offense to Coach Kelly.
How about your man Marcus Freeman?
Oh, my man Marcus Freeman.
Well, your son played for him.
I know. Interesting take. Again, can he? Looking at his record, takes Notre Dame to the national championship game. Does a great job, but it does in the last couple of years had that crazy loss, one to NIU or whatever it was, and then another one to like there's two random games. You can't judge him on those games. You'll be judging him on his resume overall. But great guy, good motivator. Got to wonder how plugged in is he? When I think of college coaches coming up to the NFL, I always wonder who do they know in the NFL, meaning coach-wise, that can support them.
That's a good point.
That's all I ever think about. I don't think about can he coach. It's like Saban was in college doing a great job. Was in the NFL. He coached with Belichick. He left Belichick, went to LSU, wound up at Miami, and then couldn't really get it together.
Should I add Nick Saban to my list? Your other guy.
Hey, if Nick Saban wanted to come here and coach, I said, Coach, you need me? What do you need?
Howard will be the guy that supports him as an NFL.
I'd support him for that. Yeah, Nick understands the program, and he has some contacts with a lot of former players that are coaches and all around the league, so he would have a plug-in. He knows a lot of guys that he worked with when he was in Cleveland, and he still keeps close with a lot of NFL guys when he's talking about his guys coming in and how they're doing.
All right, Howard, you ready to take some calls?
Yeah.
201-939-4513, 201-939-4513. Let's go to Marcus in California. He will lead us off today on Big Blue Kickoff. Marcus, what's going on?
Hey, guys, how you doing?
We're good,
best wishes to John Mara again. Howard, thank you for all the times you've made me cheer over the years and all your honest takes on the show. Man, I am really upset about Dayball getting fired, dude. Like, I just can't. I'm heartbroken, man. It sucks. I think I have a toxic relationship with this team, and I think I'm going to take the rest of the year off, actually, and not even go to the Vegas game now. Glad I didn't go to the Denver game, John. That probably would have dissociated and left everybody.
You had had a lot of fun for about 50 minutes.
Yeah,
55
what
minutes.
it's like sitting there last week with your team up by 10 with 4 minutes to go, knowing you're going to lose the game. Like, that's horrible, man. That is so bad. I understand it. I really do. But I think you got to get rid of everybody, man. I mean, I don't know, like, at the end of the year, like, at the end of the day, it falls on Brian Daboll. At the end of the day, the losers, and they're not losers, but the kids that are losing the games, that's on Joe Shane, man. The Saquon thing was horrible. The run defense got so bad after we traded Leonard Williams. Like, it's just all been bad. And I don't know, man. I don't want no 73-year-old coach coming in. The Bill Belichick thing, that sounds ridiculous.
I would be surprised if that
have someone
happened.
that's going to be here for a couple years. But, I mean, when it all came down to it, dude, I would like us to pilfer front offices from one of the two teams. And they did with the assistant GM from the Eagles. But, like, go pilfer the 49ers front office, man, because it doesn't matter who is on that team. They're winning. Or the Eagles, you got to do it. You got to go and get people who know how to do this.
Well, look, they have Marcus, real quick, and then you can continue. They have Brandon Brown on staff. He came over from the Eagles.
That's what I said.
And remember, Adam Peters, you said you take a guy off the 49ers staff, right? Because they win no matter what. Well, Adam Peters left the 49ers, went to the Commanders. How does the Commanders season going so far this year?
A lot of injuries.
They lost Jaden Daniels, man. They're old and there are a lot of injuries, dude. You can't,
but why? But why are they old, Marcus?
Oh, well, that's because of poor GM and the poor roster building, man.
And you got where I was going. Go ahead, Marcus. You can finish up.
I get that, but like I said, man, I think that I don't really want a coordinator to be like, oh, we're going to try this guy. I don't want like a 73-year-old Belichick, and I'm absolutely 100% against Mike McCarthy, dude. I'm done with Dallas Cowboy retreads, and McCarthy's only resume is Aaron Rodgers, and that's it. Without Aaron Rodgers, McCarthy probably would have been out of the league a long time ago. That's my opinion, and I hope things get better, and I hope I change my mind and actually go to the Vegas game. The way things are going right now, I really don't think I'm going to do it.
Well, Marcus, the good news is that if the football doesn't go well in Vegas, there's a lot of other things to entertain you and maybe perhaps make you forget what happened at the football game.
That is so bad.
Oh, trust me, dude. My wife would. The Giants,
did you just say that? He said his wife.
Vegas and the Giants lost, my wife would be like, we're leaving everything at the hotel and we're driving home.
Oh my
She's like,
God.
you're not allowed to step foot in a casino or a bar. Like, my wife would put her foot down so hard,
That's funny.
You would hear it in New York. But like I said, man, I love my team. It just sucks so bad. It's just horrible, man. And I think that you got to fire everybody, dude. Like they even said in the last 5 years, the Jets have won a half game more than us, dude, and that is not okay. From a Giants fan's perspective, being worse than the Jets is not okay in any shape or form. And if it all falls on Daboll, it all falls on Joe Shane, too. And I've never wished for anybody to get their job fired. And I am very upset that they fired Daboll, dude, because, like, Cam Scatterbo texts him at 4:30 in the morning after he broke his ankle and had surgery. If these kids don't love Daboll, then who does? You know what I mean? And it's just my opinion. And like I said, wish John Mara the best with what he's going on. Howard, thank you again. John, thanks for letting
Thanks,
me
Marcus.
rant.
Thanks, Marcus.
But I think I'm done for the year, and thank you.
I get it, man. I should read. This was part of the statement the Giants released yesterday. It's the full statement's on Giants.com, but this is the part I want to read. This from John Mara. We feel like Joe has assembled a good young nucleus of talent, and we look forward to its development. Unfortunately, the results over the past 3 years have not been what any of us want. We would take full responsibility for those results and look forward to the kind of success our fans expect. These are difficult decisions. This is from Mr. Tisch. And John and I do not take them lightly, but we feel like this is the right thing to do at this time, and it gives us the ability to move forward. Where is it? I'm looking for the part that I wanted to read. That was not it. Where is it? I did not see that quote in here. That's interesting. Where is it? Oh, yeah, that Joe Shane will lead the coaching search after the season.
No.
That was part of the statement that did get released. So
That was the first part.
Yes. So just keep that in mind moving forward. In terms of the McCarthy thing, you said he wouldn't have a job on that for Aaron Rodgers. I will point out he did win 49 games over 5 seasons with the Dallas Cowboys in the regular season.
In the regular season, he says, okay.
I mean, in order to make the playoffs, you have to be good in the regular season.
That's true.
He had 3 consecutive 12-win seasons. When's the last time the Giants had a 12-win season?
It's been a while.
Right. So it's funny the way I kind of look at this, and I'm not advocating.
We've
for
won
McCarthy.
the Giants have won one more playoff game than the Cowboys.
They have. That's true. No. They won one with McCarthy, so it'd be the same.
They did?
It was 1-1. Yes.
Okay,
Dak.
right.
Yeah. Dak won one with McCarthy there. But I almost look at this, Howard, as the situation that the Knicks were in when they hired Tom Thibodeau.
Okay.
They were an organization that had a lot of losing seasons.
Mm-hmm.
They were constantly picking in the top 10. They didn't have a great direction at that point. They were just trying to really lift the floor, right?
Okay.
And just stop being bad. Really, I mean, you're just trying to stop being bad.
All right.
And Tom Thibodeau, while maybe not the guy that's going to lead you to a championship, and I said this at the time when they hired him, he's a guy that certainly knows how to win a lot of games.
Okay.
And he got brought in. He won a lot of games. He brought him to a certain point, and they eventually said, look, in order to get it to the next level, we need to move on from Tibbs, bring in a new guy, and then we're going to try to win a championship, right? And that's what I feel like part of this is just bring in somebody that's going to build a stable culture and foundation here that's going to stop you from being bad.
Okay. All right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But okay, so I get it. I get the whole coaching thing. We've got to change coaches and the cry from the fans and everything is
Well, again, I wasn't advocating for firing Dave. Now that you're looking for a new
I know, but I get the whole thing. But it's got to be everybody on board. It's like you're on a sinking ship and everybody's jumping off and everybody's like, oh my God, we can't make it. We got to find the next guy. So if you're looking for the next guy, pick somebody that's not in the same framework as all the guys you've been talking to before. Good hires, great guys, good coordinators, whatever. Pick somebody that's ornery, mean, and it's going to, get guys that are like, okay, we're going to change the culture. That's going to be a change of culture. And that's hard to, like I said, again, that's hard to do in this generation of players, is to make them, be something they're not. Like when we played back in the day, and this is not me being unsportsmanlike, but when we played back in the day, we wanted to knock you down and knock you out of the game. And that was part of the game. We weren't trying to hurt you permanently, but we didn't want you to come back in the game. We read the scouting report and you had a bad ankle. Somebody might twist your foot when they tackled you. It was just part of the game. Now when guys hit other guys, they all kneel and pray. It's just a different game. So it's kind of hard to get the same kind of, effect and effort and mentality. And it's not that they're not tough guys. It's not that they're not great athletes. They're fast, they're big, they're strong. But the process of playing has changed.
It's vitamin W, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's vitamin W.
Oh, what vitamin W means?
Winning.
Oh.
It makes it solves everything. When you start winning some games, everything seems to fall into place. So you need to find, again, a lot of it, then me. I'm always more of it's the player's responsibility than the coach in terms of winning games, but you need the guy in here that can help get that going.
It's the Jims and the Joes. It's usually the Jims and the Joes. My view of it is this. I think if when Jackson gets back, the last remaining games, I think the Giants are going to pull off a few wins. I think they've been close the whole time. I think the defense has been close the whole time. I think they're going to pull off a few wins. And as they pull these wins off, I don't want it to be like, oh, well, they just got to figure out a way how to close it out. And they got to start thinking about it as a group. Okay, we're got to close this out. And somebody's got to make that play. So far, it's been, and I can't believe this guy didn't have a sack in the game. It's been Burns. Burns has been all over the place. And how much better did they play once they got the safety back? They played a lot better up until the last 10 minutes of the game. They played a lot better. They looked a lot different.
The defense was very good for 3 quarters.
Yeah, 3.5 quarters. But it is what it is.
201-939-4513. 201-939-4513. Let's go to Jason in New Haven. He's up next. Hey, Jason.
Hey, John and Howard. How you guys doing?
What's up, man?
Very good.
Good, man. Good. I'll make a few points and get off the air. It was. I actually liked. I was rooting for Dable after that first year, Coach of the Year. He seems like a really. I don't know him, of course. Maybe you guys run into him, of course, more when he was with the Giants. But he just seemed like a good guy.
He was
great guy.
Great guy.
It sucks on that part. People losing jobs. I don't wish that on anybody, but like you guys have stated, Howard, you played in the league. John, you covered it for years. Unfortunately, pro sports is, it's a bottom line, win or loss kind of enterprise. Either you're winning or you're losing. Mm-hmm. So, unfortunately, the numbers and the win-loss record, it speaks for itself. I mean, I don't think anybody can argue that. So,
no, of course.
Nope.
I wish him the best, and, I'll move on to my next point. Okay, so here's what I want to see with Kafka. How do I say it? So the one issue I had, I don't think we were a buttoned-up team this year or the last few years under Dable. Here's why I say that. After Sunday's game, right? Sunday was the fourth blown 10-point lead we had going into a fourth quarter.
No,
right?
it was the fourth 10-point lead blown, but the other 10-point lead was against the Saints in the first quarter.
Okay. All right, I got that wrong. But basically, okay. Yes, that's.
You aren't the only one. Honestly, Jason, I've heard a lot of people say that this week. That has not been the case. They had 4 10-point leads that were blown, 3 in the fourth quarter, but the one against the Saints was a 10-point lead early in that game. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, it's good. We ranked third in total penalties committed, 29th in red zone conversion. We tie first in delay of game penalties, 7th in false starts, 2nd in DPI, and ranked 3rd in total penalty yardage. That, to me, speaks to a team that's not buttoned up. When I see those numbers, yes, of course, players are a part of that equation, but that, to me, that is coaching. That's head coaching.
Yeah, and unfortunately,
right?
Jason, and before this year, they actually were usually pretty high on the penalty board rankings. But yeah, this year it has not been as good. You're not wrong about that.
And you have to also remember that every time a player goes down, the guy who comes in after him changes the dynamic slightly.
Right. No, I get that. Like I said, I get that. I'm not excusing the players. The players definitely have something to do with that. But my thing with what a head coach is, right? When I play, my thing is this: the head coach, yes, you have to. I think a lot of people gave Dayball credit, and I do as well with this rise of Dart, and the way he's been playing. Dart, I mean, Dayball gets a lot of credit, but coaching a quarterback, there's more to head coaching, which I'm sure he knows that, but it didn't seem like it this year. It's more to it than just getting your rookie quarterback up to speed. And those are the things that, when I look at coaches have 3 things I look for. Are you building a culture, a winning culture, right? The only way you could build a culture is by winning. And is your team buttoned up? Do they have an identity? Those are the 3 things I look for in a head coach, personally, right? I don't think it will happen like you 2 gentlemen explained beautifully earlier. I'm a big Flores guy. I liked him the first go-around before Dable got the job. I understand the whole litigation thing. I won't even get into that because I have no idea what's going on with that. So I'm not even going to get into it.
Jason, we aren't touching that either.
We don't know either.
I'm not even going to touch that, so you guys won't either.
Mm-hmm.
Second, I know he's on the older side, but man, maybe if he was a few years younger, Belichick would be at the top of my list, right? Because we've seen it. Now, I know people say, well, he had Brady. Every great coach, Super Bowl winning coach, had a good quarterback. You might have some one-offs, but most great head coaches that won chips had great quarterbacks. So I'm not going to take that away from Belichick.
Mm-hmm. No, he's not.
Those are the kind of guys. I'm not saying it has to be those two. Those are the kind of guys I'm looking for. Third, I'll get off the air. Shane, I know he's getting a lot of heat, the last few years, especially this year. But here's what I'll say. I'm in agreement with Amara in keeping Shane. Here's what I'll say this. Before this season, I'm not saying you two said it, but I've heard from, other people, friends, different podcasts and social media, that this is probably one of the better Giants rosters we've had in a few years. Definitely a better roster now than when Shane took over, in my opinion.
Okay.
So was it Shane's issue when we were up 19 or 20-6 on Denver? Were people complaining about the roster then? When the offense was going up and down the field in the first Dallas game, were people complaining about the roster then? When we were beating the Bears the other day, were people complaining about the roster? When you draft a franchise quarterback as a general manager, you're going to get a leash. Has he had some misses? Of course. Neil, Hyatt, okay, whatever. Neil was the top lineman that year he came out, so I'm not going to kill Shane for that. But he got you a franchise quarterback, and he got you a number one receiver, Dart. Well, we go down the list. Flott. So I think we're in a good course. I think this job will be highly coveted. I think a lot of head coaches are going to be lining up to try to take an interview. So I thank you guys for taking the call, and I'll get off the air. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Look, I do agree with you, by the way, that I think this will be
it's going to be a
coveted job.
Yeah, but when you have a quarterback, that's big. A quarterback, a number one receiver, possibly a running back coming back at full strength, a very decent defense. They just got to figure out how to close. You got all the parts there. You just got to figure out how to get the W's.
And I think an ownership group that wants to be patient, right? Like Howard, they would like nothing more than have a head coach here for 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
If they could find the right guy, that's what they want.
Every team wants. Everybody wants their Mike Tomlin to be in an organization for 20 years if they can get him in there. But it's just hard to. It's just very hard to get it done.
Yeah, no, 100%. All right, let's go back to the phones and say what's up to Scott in New Mexico on line 2. Scotty, what's up?
Hi, guys. As far as Brian Daboll, I want to go over a point with you which might be a little controversial. I know his record was bad, and I was on with you guys a couple of weeks ago and advocated for a regime change then. And Howard, you sort of agreed with some of the points I made. But I think one of the reasons, other than the record, that Brian Daboll had to go, may have something to do with Jaxson Dart and the way he was handling them. In the game that just transpired with, I think it was about 5 minutes left in the third quarter, and even though he admits that Jackson didn't seem right, he left him in the game to play a couple more snaps before he
No, Scott. He didn't. No, Scott. Time out. Let's
Okay.
get the time frame right here. It was after those two plays that he realized Jackson wasn't right. It wasn't, Jackson's not right. Let's put him back out there, and then we'll get Ronnie Bonds over 2 plays later.
Okay.
That's not how it went down.
And also you have to realize that the Red Hats are supposedly watching from heaven to see when guys are hitting their head, and they're supposed to like come out and talk to them and pull them to the side. And
the Giants self-reported the injury. This wasn't an NFL thing.
So the NFL's watching the game. They watch him go down, jump, hit his head on the turf. And they're like, I guess he's okay. He got up. He didn't, and it took him a couple seconds to get up.
It did.
So
I think that maybe they thought he was frustrated over the fumble, not necessarily hurt.
So whichever way they look at it, they didn't ring the bell to get him out. He goes over. A series happens.
Yep.
And then he kind of gets in the game, and then the Giants are like, "Hey, could you come here for a second? Let me look at you."
Yeah, Scott, I apologize for interrupting you. I just wanted to make sure that you and fans understand.
No,
they weren't like,
No.
Dart, you're not okay. Now go back out there and play.
Right.
That's not how it happened.
Okay. Well, here's my other point. No matter who's the coach of the Giants next year, I'd like to see Mike Kafka be given a chance. But Jaxson Dart right now, I think he's the second leading rusher on the team. I think he has 317 yards, something like that, and has the most rushing touchdowns with 7. But according to ESPN, has taken in an average of 13 hits per game. That, to me, is not sustainable for a quarterback.
How many hits does a quarterback normally take per game, Scott?
I'm sorry?
How many hits does your average quarterback take per game?
I would say 5 or 6.
I think that's definitely not true because you know how many times they're sacked, which is probably around 2 or 3. You know how many times they're hit without getting sacked, which is another 2 or 3. And then you have how many times they run the ball. So I guarantee it's closer to 8.
Yeah, quarterback hits are known because they get hit a lot.
These are quarterback hits. These are guys. According to ESPN, these are plays where he's getting hit.
No, Scott, no, I understand, but the raw number doesn't mean anything to me unless it's in context of what other quarterbacks around the league are getting hit. You know what I mean?
Caleb Williams got hit that many times in the game. He didn't go down sometimes, but he was getting hit.
Yeah, Scott, my only point, and look, Dart takes way too many. He does not slide. We've talked about this a million times. He needs to protect himself. Yes. We agree with you. But I need to see that number of the quote number of average hits per game compared to what the other quarterbacks in the league are getting.
Okay, so saying that, John, and I agree with you, winning cures everything, but the real issue is I'd like to see Jaxson Dart's career last. Does it influence the way Mike Kafka is going to use him and whoever is the coach, if Mike Kafka is not the guy next year, and changing some of the stylistic points, I guess, of Jaxson Dart without impeding his ability to run the football, because there's been quarterbacks who have been doing that, and I'm reminded of that quarterback in Washington, and they were the Redskins, now the Commanders, but he was really a great quarterback and sustained some serious injuries from running the football. His name escapes me.
Robert Griffin III you're talking about.
Robert the Griffin III, yes, exactly. And his career was shortened, and I hate to see that same thing happen to Jaxson Dart because he has such great potential. So I'm sort of, looking to the future and saying, how will the next coach, whoever that should be able to sort of make Jaxson Dart more effective without putting him at risk, because he really isn't the same size as Josh Allen, who he's compared to. And Josh Allen is almost impervious sometimes to getting hit. But I don't want to see Jaxson Dart's career shortened because of the way they manage him, and I don't want to also harness him. So is there a way to sort of juxtapose those 2 points?
No, thank you, Scott. Great question.
So they're basically, when you talk about quarterbacks that are running quarterbacks, there are 2 basic styles of running backs. There's a Cam Newton, Josh Allen kind of massive dude that's running down the field, and
even Jalen Hurts, I think I would maybe put in that category a little bit.
Jalen Hurts is kind of strong too. So yeah, that guy. And then there's the other guys. There's the McDaniels. The guy we just played is one of those guys, he can run. They're shifty. Lamar Jackson. And these guys are
Kyler Murray,
guys that aren't taking hits. They're flying around. Everybody, if you're not one of those 2 guys, you're getting hit, and you're going to get hit a lot. The difference is that it's the mentality you take when you break the pocket. When you're looking, like I'm looking at the yard marker, I got to get to the yard marker, I just passed the yard marker, am I still okay? Do I need to get down? If it's 2nd down and 7 and I get 6 yards, I can get down.
That's okay. I'm with you on that. So I agree completely.
That's going to be the thing. But the thing is,
but to me, that's not a coaching thing, though, Howard.
Yeah, but that's about to say. The thing is that the player has to understand. Right. Okay. If Dart's going to play in this form, in this fashion, Dart's going to be a bigger man. He's going to have the Phil Simms effect. When Phil was getting sacked a lot, he was coming in here, he's all thin, and Jackson's not that thin. But by the time Simms' career ended, he was jacked. He was a big dude. And he in the gym, he was huge, and he could take on some of that stuff. But if you don't get your body ready for it. I mean, and you got to realize guys are getting paid in the NFL, and if you run a lot, Daniel Jones will let you know. Daniel ran over a guy one game, smoked him, got up in his own, kind of came back as excited as Daniel could be. Daniel's never really been like a big yelling guy.
He's not, no.
And then the next game, like he's running the same kind of play, and Dave's like, "Oh, you're not going down? Okay." And they lit him up. And he was like, "Okay." Next game, he slid. Like, "Okay, sorry, my bad. You do get paid to hit me. My bad. You'll figure it out." But now this might be Jackson's wake up call, which is kind of.
Now, I will say this: I do think for the people that were upset, I forget if it was at the end of the Niner game or was it at the end of the Eagles game, where when the game was out of reach at the end, when they're doing design runs for Dart, like near the goal line, when the game's out of reach, that I could live without.
I get it.
I don't think you need to do that when the game's over and you're not going to be competitive anymore.
Yep.
But I think the question I would ask you, Howard, because I struggle with this honestly, because part of what makes Dart a good player is his ability to run, his athleticism. He had two 20-yard runs in that game, a 24-yard touchdown run.
Hey,
so do you want to take that part of it out, even though it might mean he gets hit a couple more times? How do you see that as a player?
You're not going to be able to take it out. And the reason why you can't take it out is because it's part of your offense. Like,
well, I mean, can you take it out of your offense?
If you take it out of your offense, then you just leave him in the backfield, and you leave everything up to the running backs and the wideouts, which you're short on right now.
And that's kind of the point I'm making, where if I'm a coach and I'm trying to win games, which Brian Dable is trying to do and Mike Kafka is going to do, you're asking them to willingly not do something that's going to help your offense a lot because you're afraid of an injury. I just don't think coaches and players play afraid. You know what I mean?
And what you're also asking is like, okay, the play breaks down and you're back to drop back to throw the ball, and they're playing man to man. Are you not going to run at the backs of the guys that are running away from
right?
you?
And that's the thing. I think there's going to be so many scrambles anyway. I'm not sure the design run thing is going to make that big.
It's not really doable, especially for a guy that's athletic. It's very really rarely will you see a guy not take a chance to get extra yards when he can.
All right, we got to end a minute or two earlier, so I want to make sure I get through these calls quickly. Let's go to Tony in Las Vegas. He's up next. Hey, Tony.
Vegas.
Hi, how you guys?
Good.
Enjoy your program, and I was a long-time season ticket holder for 40 years. My first game was in, I think 59 against
great,
the
Tony.
Baltimore Colts, and we lost in that game.
The greatest game ever played, that one?
No. Anyway, I was going to call a few weeks ago, but then there was the announcement John Mara was diagnosed with cancer, and we won our first game, so I held off.
Okay.
And I think the problem that we have, personally, is that John Mara is making the overall decisions for the club. I think we need to bring in a very strong general manager who runs the football operation.
Tony. Joe Shane is making the decisions.
Well, then I question him because he came in and he didn't renew the contract for Jones, pick up the option. And he had a great season his last year on his rookie contract. Signed him $40 million. He last 2 years. He got injured here in Vegas playing against the Raiders. And you need somebody with a sharp mind. We gave up on Jones. We gave up on Bradley. Got nothing for either one of them. And we're not building up our offensive line to give time to our running backs and to our quarterback to make the plays. We need a strong line. And we just bring in a lot of people who don't affect the line and give us the coverage that we need out there.
Well,
All right, Tony. Appreciate the call.
Tony, I would say this as far as the offensive line goes. In the last 3 years, not counting this year, it's been dark. It's been sad. I feel bad for the quarterback. I feel bad for the running backs. Saquon getting out of here and Daniel getting out of here. They got out to two good lines, so they're having success.
Yeah, they've been the offensive line since Andrew Thomas has come back has been very good.
Now Andrew Thomas is out there. Illuminor is out there playing really well. They have kind of spark the offensive line. They can move the ball on the ground. They can move the ball through the air. The quarterbacks aren't getting hit every play. So that it's changed a lot. Guys are able to, extra 3 seconds, 4 seconds before they have to scramble and get to things. That we played some decent defenses too. So the offensive line play has picked up tremendously from the last 2 to 3 years.
And again, I don't want to relitigate history, but I mean, I think.
And the offensive line coach is phenomenal.
Yeah, Carmen Brassel is very good. It isn't possible that Joe Schoen just changed his mind? That when he got here, he didn't think Daniel Jones was the answer, then he saw him play in 22 and he changed his mind because the team won a playoff game and got to the playoffs? I think that's probably what happened. And to jettison your quarterback after your team wins double-digit games and wins a playoff game, that's a very tough decision to make. It's a hard decision to make.
Well, I won't speak for Shane or Dable, but I don't think that they were in love with Daniel because of what they saw him do previous to them getting there.
Well, of course they would. Yeah, would you? I wouldn't have been either.
They were like, I'm not sure this guy can play. They didn't look at it from the offensive line standpoint. They were just looking at it from Daniel's standpoint.
Yeah, and I get that.
So then he comes in. They come in and they squeak out. I said the one score wins. They got by with some of them. The ball bounced the right way, and all of a sudden, it's his contract year.
Right.
So what are you going to do? I guess we'll give him a contract. But they didn't give him, and everybody talks about the amount of money. They didn't give him a lot of money. Even though it seemed like a lot of money at the time, they didn't give him a lot of money compared to what guys were making.
And they were able to get out of it after 2 years.
Absolutely.
With
They structured it properly so that hey, if this works out, we got our guy. If it doesn't work out, we can get away from this in a couple of years. And that's what they did.
Right. And again, they were just in a tough spot. Again, I maintain that having that surprisingly really good year that first year, I think made things more difficult than helped in terms of figuring out how to move forward in the future.
Yeah. And again, I tell people this all the time. Daniel had the benefit of having a good line that year. The line was pretty decent, even though he was scrambling and all this stuff. They were able to protect him and get him out there, and he looked like he did his first year.
And by the way, they also got a third-round comp pick. Is one of the reasons they got the third-round comp pick is because Saquon Barkley left as free agent. So if they did in effect get something for him, if they traded him in that season, they would not have gotten that third-round comp pick because the McKinney contract would have been canceled out on the compensatory draft pick chart. So just keep that in mind too. Let's go to Brian in Alabama. He's up next. Hey, Brian.
Roll Tide.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Very good. Very good.
Good. Got a quick question for Howard. So, I watch all these games and the defensive meltdowns, if you will, in the three games of note. It's like you watch and see it like, oh, no, this is not good. And I'm an optimist. I'm not one of these that, I knew we were going to lose this second. So my question is, is that like a cultural mindset that coaching can change? Is it a player thing? It seems like some of these defensive players, Banks, Newbin, Phillips, have good first years, and then, it seems like they've taken steps back. So do you think it's a cultural thing or a player thing? Do you think the coach, just something as easy as Kafka getting in there, can we start getting a winning, finishing mindset? Do we have the players to do that?
I think we do have the players to do that. I think that, they have to be – it's them making the plays. Like, if you get up and you get a sack, you can't have a guy grabbing in the back end in the secondary. You just can't. You can't. You gotta lock your guy down, but desperation and time in the clock kind of runs in your head. If you're 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, you reach out to grab the guy. It can't be your first instinct. You got to keep your eye on him and what we call locking him down. But if you can get out there and do that, and they get the sack, we've won 3 or 4 more games. But almost every time that we've got the sack, somebody's grabbed a jersey, somebody's grabbed something, and it gets called. And the officials have been, I think fair for the most part. They make bad calls for both teams. It's not just our team.
They do.
And you get to watch it, and you I've seen calls where I'm like, man, we really held that guy right there, and it's a touchdown.
There was a play in the Eagles game where the N'Kobe Dean breaks through. He got literally tackled from behind.
Yes.
And I think that was the Scatterboo wheel route down the sideline, right? And they didn't hold on that. It goes both ways.
So it goes both ways. But I think as far as the end of the game goes, I think that we have the players to finish games. And I think they're close. I don't know how they're going to make that switch. Maybe the coach is going to have to keep sending pressure. Then guys, when it gets late in games and you're tired, you got to stay within your lanes and understand what you have to do. Even when you get tired, you got to be even smarter and stronger and keep going at it. But if you give up the outside because you get frustrated, You're frustrated that you're not getting the sack, so you take the inside move, set the outside.
And thank you for the call, Brian.
You give up all that room, and it's going to happen. The guy's going to break contain.
Yeah, it happened to Carter a couple times in the past game. It happened to Thibodeau a couple games before that.
You can't do it. You got to stay with you got to stay in your lane.
Yeah, do your job.
Be patient. Stay in your lane. Be patient. You can be fanatically going crazy and be patient at the same time because you're staying in your lane and doing your job.
All right, let's wrap things up with David in North Carolina. David, what's going on?
Hey, gentlemen. I was going to just listen to the show off air. I know we're trying to finish up here, but I just about lost it with poor Scott in New Mexico. I knew he's a regular and he's a good caller, but listen, it's no disrespect, but if you played football at any level and you sure, can he do a better job of getting down and sliding? Yeah, but I'm telling you right now, like, this dream of having a quarterback for 10 or 15 years, I mean, it's like putting a toy on the shelf and getting it graded and telling a 5-year-old he can't touch it. Like, it's not realistic.
Yeah,
I actually really like that analogy, David. That was pretty good.
Jaxson Dart is who he is because he plays that way. People, fellow teammates love Daniel Jones because he played that way. And I know 110% gets used too much and, like, hey, give it your all, but there is something to that. Some athletes are just naturally gifted and they can do everything well. And then you get an athlete like a Jaxson Dart who's not only a great athlete, but he just is willing to go that extra mile on the football field to have a disregard to his body. And is it the most sane thing to do? No, probably not. But you cannot take that out of the player. And I know Howard knows what I'm talking about because he won't be the same player.
Nope.
And so take Jaxson Dart. I hope he's here for 15 years, but if he's here 6 years or 8 years and he plays the way he's playing, I'll take that too. You have to take the good with the bad. And unfortunately, it's a violent sport, and, injuries happen. And I hope he's fine and I hope he doesn't get any more concussions, and I hope he's able to play the same way with his hair on fire and be healthy. But that's just football. And
if you want to list your coaching candidates, by the way, you can.
Yeah, and I'll leave it with this. I would have liked to talk on the coaching a little bit more, but I think the Giants need someone with head coaching experience. This is a big apple to bite into, no pun intended, and not anybody can do it. And I think you need to have been a head coach, at least at the collegiate level, preferably the professional level, to take this job. It's just too much. I don't think people realize until they get here what it all entails. And so that would be my advice to Mr. Mara and Shane is we need someone in here that's been a head coach, preferably at the professional level. You guys have a great day.
Appreciate the call, man. Good stuff.
Thank you very much.
Howard, give me final thoughts here.
I think that was a great analogy.
That's a great analogy. I don't get these people that they like come to like the Antiques Roadshow. They have these toys like, I had this toy my whole life. It's in mint condition.
Yes.
So no, you didn't. You didn't play with the damn thing. Like, come on.
I'm going to be thinking about that. I'm going to be using that over and over again. Thank you for that. That's a great line. I think, hey, look, the Giants are still in a positive way, even though they haven't won any games. I like Jaxson Dart. I think he's, I've grown to like him even more. He's energetic. He like you said, the guy said, plays with his hair on fire, makes plays, willing to go out there and get it, lays everything on the line for his team and his teammates, and he believes that they're close. So I'm happy for that. I like Scatterbill. He's crazy. He's wild. If he comes back healthy, it's going to be something to behold. I like, Big Thomas on the edge. He doesn't say much. Very quiet guy out there, but he's the anchor of that offensive line, and guys look up to him, and they know that he's out there, and defenses are afraid of him just about because you see guys trying to figure out a way to get past him. And I do like Neighbors. I think Neighbors is a good receiver. I think he's been playing well. The tight ends for the most part have played pretty well. Luminor's played great on the offensive line, and defensively you got the makings of a really good pass rush, a dangerous pass rush, and you got a linebacker that's incredible, makes plays all over the field. You just got to keep building guys. I think the cornerback situation has been pretty good for the most part, even though we got a couple guys get hurt here and there and pull it in and out. If they can just stay healthy for the rest of the season, everybody, with absence of Neighbors and Scatterville, if they can stay healthy for the rest of the season, they're going to surprise some teams. These guys are in it. You can tell they're in the fight the entire time.
And don't be surprised. The Packers did not look good on Monday night. You always get a bounce that first game with the interim head coach. Teams seem to play better that first game. Yeah. So who knows what's going to happen on Sunday.
And they don't know what to expect, so it's going to be interesting.
Exactly right. That's all the time we have for Big Blue Kickoff Live. Sorry to cut the last few calls short, but good stuff. It's all brought to you by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the Giants. We're in the Hackensack Marina Hill podcast studio. Keep getting better. Thanks for being with us, everybody. We'll see you next time.